All right, so in this video, we're going to utilize some of those maps we just baked out in the last video with some generators. I love the generators inside of Substance Painter. They're super fun to use, super easy, and can help you get a long way on your project very, very quickly. Let me show you a couple of them right out of the gate. The first one I'm going to utilize is our, let's say we want to add some rust to this object. Like this is some iron rod damaged object. I'm going to find some rust in here. I really like the rust coarse material that comes from by default inside of Substance Painter. And now what we want to do is we want to isolate this rust to the areas of a metal object where rust naturally forms. Now I can definitely go in, create a black mask, and create a paint layer, go into my paint brushes, grab I love these dirt brushes. I can grab one of the dirt brushes and go in and just start kind of painting up a little bit of rust right around these edges of the rusting components. But as you can see, that can get a little bit tedious. Instead, let's do some generator work. So instead of this paint mask, I'm going to go into my magic wand, the same effect, where I would add the paint, and just above it, you're going to see generators. Drop one in. Nothing happens, right? Because we haven't told it what generator to use. To do that, we just click this box that says generator, and we're going to select one from our list here. Now we've got a few, and I'll show you a few of these. We have fiberglass, we've got dirt, but for rusting and metal surfaces, it's really cool to utilize this metal edge wear mask. The metal edge wear mask will use the curvature and a general grunge map to create some rust effects that are very natural to metal surfaces. So if I increase this wear level, you can see it start to kind of go up. So the two main settings in this are going to be wear level and grunge. So the wear level really focuses in on the curvature map, where the grunge, if I take this down, you'll see it's kind of the in-between areas, right? It's just kind of like the ambient amount of grunge that happens over the object. There's also triplanar, so if you're finding that your grunge map is hitting a seam, you can just activate triplanar on here as well. And then additionally, obviously you have all of your parameter control settings. If you scroll down, you can see which of the mesh maps are being which one of the texture maps that we baked out are actually being utilized in here. And then also what we can do is, so here's the real benefit of this. So one of the things about these metal edgewares is they become very, very popular to the point where I've actually heard industry professionals be like, oh, like they would see this and they would just be able to recognize like, oh, that's just like the default rust, metal edgeware inside of Substance Painter. So what I would recommend doing is I would actually start to layer this generator with some other stuff, because I can always go in and add a paint layer on top of this and paint in some additional rust, or take some rust away by painting it out as being black. Or I can, multiply this by my own, generator or my own grunge map on top of this. So I can actually multiply this by another grunge map. And now you can see you can kind of like sprinkle it in and change up the look of it just by creating a layer stack within our mask right over there. So just something to be aware of there. Like, don't feel like once you create a generator that it's all you can create. You can really use the previous knowledge that we had in the earlier videos to stack on top of that. So the rust is a really common one. Another one that I really like is the dirt generator. For that, I'll often just grab a dirt material from the asset library, throw that on the object. Now this is a dirt ground, so you can see some rocks and stuff. So I'll go ahead and take away the normals, so it's just nice and flat. But really, I'm just looking for the dirt color. If I want to, I can use a filter, which I'll show in a future video on how to blur this image. But we're just gonna add a little bit of dirt. It's totally fine. So for that, I'm just going to create a black mask again, add a generator, and this time we're going to use the dirt generator. Now the dirt generator works pretty much the opposite of the metal edgeware one, in that it'll actually find the crevices of the object as opposed to the high points of it. So now you can build in some dirt into some of these like other areas, like where the sock kind of goes into the shoe there, and just some of like the dirty levels on this as well. Some other generators to take note of, like if I wanted to, let's say, I don't know, like I'm just gonna throw this car paint out there so it's just a nice bright red so we can see what's going on. If I wanted to, Other generators that you can add in are like your UV borders. This one comes in handy sometimes, where if I can turn up the contrast, you can see what's actually happening is it's drawing an outline around where everything is on my UV islands. It doesn't really work that well for this character, but you can see how if you had like a garment and you needed to like create an edge on the garment, or I've used it on like towels if you want to make like stripes along the base of a towel, that could be very helpful too. Additionally, I also like I mentioned, the fiberglass one. This one's kind of cool, and that creates a fiberglass type etching pattern in there. Also, the general position one can be really helpful. So like, if you're just trying to create one that's like, like a real subtle fading from the bottom up, you can change the color of your object a little bit over the course of the position to be like, the base of the building is actually dirtier than the top of the building, things like that. Another one is the light generator. This one's kind of cool. So you can actually create a light position on it and spin that around, and like where the light is shining, like that's where wherever the simulated light is shining, that's where the material is actually being applied. So you can actually apply that way. And then we've also got ones that are like, you got your mask editor and mask builder that can actually allow you to generate some custom ones yourself. And then we've got, this dripping one's kind of cool too. But all of these come with some slider controls and give you the ability to apply them as you see fit. Now, one thing to point out is that if you go, like, let's say you wanted to add this rust, and I'm going to give you the answer before, and it just like, it's not working, like the sliders aren't working. 99 times out of 100, it's because the mesh maps haven't been baked out yet. So you can see like when I start to put these back in, it picks up. Because again, the generators are looking for these mesh maps in order to generate their data. And in this particular case, there's no maps there, so it doesn't know where to go from, and so it doesn't quite function properly. So that's the basic gist of generators. Just know that you need mesh maps in order to run them, and know that they do often look like generators. So make sure you're layering them together and using them subtly. Don't think they're just like a one-stop shop to your finished product, but use them in conjunction with hand painting and some, like various different ones to create an ultimate effect and ultimately to tell the story of your character.